Shabbat Shalom to all of you in here and to all of you out there. It's wonderful to be able to celebrate once again our Sabbath, 1 day in 7, that blesses the Jewish people. And we're going to get ourselves just a little warmed up. Samson is our wonderful soloist tonight, and he's going to take us through a little wordless melody, a little nigun, just to loosen up our lungs and get in a prayerful mood. And then we're going to do a little community business together. So Samson, would you get us started? Well, we convene once again as a community. We go about our business. We pursue our personal goals for 6 days, but now we draw together to embrace a higher purpose, a higher moment in our lives. But we like to always be community. So I'm going to begin by calling attention to a few community things. And if you have something to share with us, I hope you will. We begin by noting no one alerted us to any anniversaries this week, which is sad. We had a lot last week. Birthdays, however, members of our congregation who had a birthday last week include Jennifer Brown and Madeline Gittins and Richard. Mazel tov to you, Richard, and Florence Dickerson, and Mark Haljevic, really Dr. Mark Haljevic, and Kenny Webman. So we want to wish all of them a happy birthday. But, you know, it doesn't have to be a birthday. It doesn't have to be a special occasion. Sometimes we just recognize blessings in our everyday lives. So I'll begin. Many blessings I could report, but I had the particular pleasure of replacing the mailbox out here, working together with our office manager, Bob, and we chipped it away and we put in a new and shiny one, and hopefully it'll be a less likely target for people on Friday nights to plow over. I also have to say that whosoever draws the post from the cement is the king of all Flower Mound, and I am now the king. So who else has a good and blessing to report? Anybody have anything happening in their lives? Yes, Betty. Mazel tov to her. What's her degree in? You're not sure? That's okay. You're just a proud grandmother. That's all right. You don't have to know. That's fantastic. Oh, okay. Okay. I wanted to say it was something like geology, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm thinking another one of our kids. Yeah. Okay, making things better. What the most Jewish degree ever. So that's fantastic. Yes, Don. Our anniversary is on the 12th. For somewhere nice, somewhere nicer. See, okay, got it. That's fantastic. Well, mazel tov to both of you on your anniversary. Which one is this? Wow, 48 in 2 years. It's going to be a spectacular. Who else has a good and blessing to report? Miss Casey.
I finally got very seriously into her air fryer.
Okay.
And have cooked like every meal 7 days in the air fryer, and it's the most amazing thing that's ever happened. So
okay, well, so one person's curse is another person's blessing. I did not find the air fryer I took it with great promise, and despite the anguish of certain other people who love their air fryers, I could never really get a rhythm with it. But you found yourself in it. That's fantastic. All right, outstanding. Anybody see, an air fryer is all you need to have a good and blessing. Yes.
Because of the amazing generosity of everyone from the school, we gathered 150 items to donate. I called the overnight shelter in Fort Worth, and they said they can't see the number of socks.
Oh, wow.
So we were able to bless 2 overnight shelters, one here in Denton and another one.
3 actually, because my son Micah has got himself involved in a anarchist food kitchen, and he took a whole bundle of socks and underwear, which he was distributing also. So that's so we've had a big impact on the region with our efforts. So that's wonderful, and thank you for spearheading that. Any other good and blessings to report before we move on? All right, well, I'm going to turn to one of our pillars, Betty, to kindle Shabbat lights and to start this Shabbat. For those of you who want to orient themselves, we're on page 1 of our prayer book, page 1 of our prayer book.
In the beginning, when the Spirit of God comes over the darkness, God's first creation was light. As we kindle these Shabbat lights, we attest to the majesty of God's work and rejoice in its beauty. Light is a symbol of divinity and creative goodness. It is the outward sign of the inner spark, which God granted each of us. In hope and with love, we now welcome Shabbat light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam,
asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Praised are you, Adonai, whose presence fills the world, who hallows us with mitzvot and inspires us to kindle the Shabbat lights.
May God bless us with Shabbat joy. May God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen. I can get that away. Oh, it's one. All right, we're going to begin our Kabbalat Shabbat, our welcome of Shabbat. We're going to start on page 4 with Psalm 97. Responsively, Adonai reigns, let the land exult and the many islands rejoice. Dense clouds surround God, righteousness and justice are the foundation of God's throne, and God's lightning illumines the world. Light is sown for the righteous and radiance for the upright. O you who are righteous, rejoice in Adonai and acclaim God's holy name. We're going to continue on the next page with Psalm 99, Ramemu.
Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu lahar kodsho. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu lahar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Ramemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Ramemu. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishakavu lehar kocho. Ramemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishakavu lehar kocho.
From Psalm 29 in English, ascribe to Adonai, you children of God. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name, and worship Adonai in the beauty of holiness. May Adonai give strength to this people. May Adonai bless this people with peace. And we draw now to the end of our Kabbalat Shabbat with Lecha Dodi. We welcome the Sabbath into our midst for our guests. It's our custom to rise and greet the Sabbath as if it were embodied, walking in the door when we get to the final stanza.
So we're going to do a different melody tonight. It's
Ooh.
actually the melody I did as a child, growing up in the temple in New York. It's if you've seen Miss Maisel, it's also the melody they sing on Miss Maisel.
Okay, it's a pop tune, it's a cable tune. Yeah, go on.
And it's a really easy melody to pick up, and it just repeats again and again and again. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Ishmianu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem tiferet v'nit. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesuka, sof maaseh b'machshatila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitorari, kiva oreku mi yori, shir daberi, kavod Adonai al yigla.
Please rise.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boi b'shalom atzeret bala, gam b'simcha u'tzola. Tokem unei ham sigula, boi kala. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
So rouse yourself, for your light has come. Arise, shine, awaken, give forth a song. The glory of Adonai is revealed to you. So come in peace, you crown of your husband, with rejoicing and with joy. To those who are faithful, a treasured people, come, O Shabbat, come, O bride. We continue now with a psalm for the Sabbath day, Psalm 92 in English. A song for Shabbat. It is good to give thanks to Adonai and to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a harp, with voice and lyre in unison. And the righteous shall bloom like a palm. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. We make our transition to our evening service now with the Hatzi Kaddish on page 9.
Yitkada v'yitkada shmei rabba.
Amen.
V'yamad yivrach yiruteh v'yamlik malchuteh. B'cha yechanu v'yomechan u'chayedecho beit Yisrael. Bagala, Uvizman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach, le'alamu me'amalya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpar, v'yitraman, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yithalev, v'yithalal, shemed kudashah, b'richu, le'la min kol birkata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, Tamiram Yama, V'imru Amen.
Whether in spirit or in body, please rise for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Li'olam Va'ed.
We celebrate the constancy of God's love through the order of the universe, Ma'ariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, u'bitvuna meshane itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'msader et hakokavim, b'mishmerotehem b'rakia kerotzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, u'mavdir yom u'mevi layla, Umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzivot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv arvim. And as much as we can see God's fingerprints in the world, we also are blessed that we have direct instruction that we believe comes from God, Ahavat olam. Unending is your love for your people, the house of Israel. Torah, mitzvot, laws and precepts you have taught us. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and rejoice in your Torah and mitzvot forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life and the length of our days. And then your love shall never depart from our hearts. Blessed is Adonai, who loves the people Israel.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. And should we do the Via Hafta in Hebrew, or do you want to do it in English? English? You got it. All right, please join me in the Via Hafta on page 13. You shall love Adonai your God with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your being. These words which I command you this day shall be upon your heart. Teach them diligently to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you dedicate yourselves to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, am your God. And just as we close out the last prayer referring to God's redemption, we continue that theme in Emet Ve'emunah. True and enduring, beloved and precious, awesome, good, and beautiful is this eternal teaching. This truth we hold to be forever certain. Adonai, our ruler, the rock of Jacob, shield of our salvation. Adonai, our God, you redeemed us from Egypt. You set us free from the house of bondage. For this, the people who felt your love sang songs of praise to you. Living God, high and exalted, mighty and awesome, who humbles the proud and raises the lowly, who frees the captive and redeems the oppressed, who is the answer to all who cry out. All praise to God Most High, the source of blessing. Like Moses and Israel, we sing this song of rejoicing, the Micha Mocha, page 15.
Yai dai 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 yada dai dai bim bam. Yai dai 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 yada dai dai bim bam. Yai dai 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 yada dai dai bim bam. Yai dai 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 yada dai dai bim bam. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai. Mi chamocha nedar bakodesh. Norati lo tosefele, norati lo tosefele. Yai dai 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 yada dai dai bim bam. Yai dai 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 yada dai dai bim bam. Yai dai 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 yada dai dai bim bam. Yai dai 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 yada dai dai bim bam.
Who is like you, Adonai, among the mighty? Who is like you, awesome in praise, doing wonders? When your children saw your might at the shore of the sea, this is my God, they proclaimed, and Adonai shall reign forever. We take a turn for a moment from our more cosmic reflections for the personal thoughts as our day draws to a close. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, the Shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Grant that we should lie down tonight in peace, Adonai our God, and raise us up, O Sovereign, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war, famine, and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful Sovereign, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. O guard our coming and our going, that always we have life and peace. We praise you, O God, whose sukkah spread over us, over all your people, Israel, over Jerusalem. We come now to the second part of our service, the tefillah, the standing prayer. I invite you once again, as able, please rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftaku fia gita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'emotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Socher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Gula Livnei V'Nehem, L'man Shemo B'Yavha, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav L'Shia, Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rakamim Rabim, Sohomek Noflim V'Rofeh Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha bal gevurot umito mehela melech memit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua ne'eman atah lechayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekayeh HaKol. Atah kadosh v'shemcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'kol yom yalu selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. And here at the pivot of our prayers, and prayer number 4 of 7, we acknowledge Shabbat and celebrate it. We're going to be doing Yismechu v'Malachu Techa on page 21 in the middle. Those who keep the Shabbat and call it delight shall rejoice in your sovereignty.
Yismechu v'malekutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malekutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, oneg Shabbat. Mekadashe Shevi Shabbat. Kulam yisbehu v'yitangu metu v'chashabat. Yismechu v'malekutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malekutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, oneg Shabbat. Uvhashvi ratzita bo v'kadashto Shabbat. Chemdad yamim oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malekutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malekutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, oneg Shabbat. Zecher Lemase Bereshit Shabbat. Zecher Lemase Bereshit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malekutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malekutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, oneg Shabbat.
Great say. Adonai, our God, show favor to your people and lovingly receive our prayers. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable to you. For you alone do we hold in reverence. Modim. And we give thanks to you, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation for all generations. We thank you and we recite your praises. Let all the living affirm you and praise your name as the God of our salvation and help. Praised are you, Adonai. Goodness is your name. All praises to you. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha lacha ne'eh lahodot. Now we close out this part of our service with a prayer for overflowing peace, Shalom Rav. And then we're going to take a few moments for our own silent prayers and reflection.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasihim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasihim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, Lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasihim leholam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasihim leholam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, bechol het uvechol shah bishlomecha. Shalom Rahav Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Leolam. Shalom Rahav Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Leolam. Tasihim Leolam. Tasihim Leolam. Say shalom bimroma. Say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. V'himru. V'himru. Amen. Say shalom bimroma. Say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'himru, v'himru, amen. Say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, say shalom, say shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Say shalom, say shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Say shalom, say shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Say shalom, say shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Say shalom bimroma. Say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'himru, v'himru, amen.
Hanukkah. It's over. It glided to an end in a rich combination of carbohydrates and grease, and it's done early in reference to the Western calendar. And we could paraphrase Job: Luach Natan v'Luach Lakach v'Yihi Shem Luach Mivarach. The calendar gives, the calendar takes away. Blessed be the name of the calendar. For Jews, I think it's a mixed blessing. Just as there's no free ride in physics, there's no free ride in the Jewish calendar. If you're a Jewish pessimist, you mourn in early Hanukkah because there's nothing to distract from the Christian onslaught for the following 3 weeks. On the other hand, if you're a Jewish, not quite so pessimistic person like myself, this is a good thing. We got to give our full attention to the holiday, and Christmas was not there to distract us. And after all, what's to complain? Peace on earth, goodwill to men. It's a good idea to forefront that for an entire month. I think that's okay. And yet this year in particular seems to be a strangely anxiety-filled Christmas season. A Christian colleague of mine posted on Facebook these thoughts. I have not posted lately. I find as I get older, I'm saying less and listening more, and what I hear is fear. The air is full of it. Fear is the new driving emotion. It is now driving the course of many lives. It is the emotion behind most newscasts. Instead of letting clear thought and reason lead the way, we have now allowed fear to oversee our agendas and our decisions. This does not end well. Fear is something that the Bible tells us over and over again to control, to master. Fear has no good outcomes. Paul dealt with this well in Philippians 4 when he wrote, "Do not be anxious or fearful about everything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." And I was completely with him, even through the Paul passage, until, of course, he got to the quote, "And of course, this only works if you have trust in Christ." I'm sorry, that you lost me right there. Not my conclusion, but he does touch upon an important truth. The zeitgeist right now is pretty fearful, pretty anxious this holiday season. Some people are so fearful, it seems, even of their relatives, that they all show up fully armed for their Christmas family photograph, as did Representatives Thomas Massey and Representative Lauren Boebert. Things must be pretty chill in your house if your own family is considered a threat you have to come armed to. And then Fox News had their Christmas tree set ablaze by a mentally ill homeless man. Certainly an unnecessary tragedy. But all of their normally calm, rational, and thoughtful reflections suddenly turned dark. It was, opined one Fox personality, a hate crime against the TV network. And another one lamented how the Christmas tree used to be a symbol of universal unity, bringing people together even to celebrate Hanukkah. Clearly, the entire network and their viewers were traumatized. Someone even characterized it as a kind of Pine 11 for Christians. Yeah. Oh, how the wheel has turned. Being anxious and fearful. Hey, that's our gig. I have to admit, it feels once again a moment where Christians are engaged in what I would consider cultural appropriation of a Jewish tradition. We're the people who are afraid. First, they come for our trees. Now they're claiming our Jewish angst from ourselves. I am a little bitter about this. Now, however, our Torah portion for this week, Vayigash, is strategically positioned each year at this season to help us reflect on our ancestor Joseph, a man who was fully acculturated into Egypt after 20 years, who then finds himself face to face with his former self, his former unshaven Asiatic self, in the form of his many brothers coming down, fresh from Canaan, smelling of goats. The portion has many lessons for us at this particular season. It could be used to reflect on the many differences, for example, between American Jews and our Israeli kin, our different mannerisms, our priorities, our cultural patterns, and especially how we sort of dwell next to Christmas in a way that they don't have to. Or we could talk about the wisdom of what Joseph has adopted in his Egyptian milieu. He dresses like an Egyptian, speaks Egyptian, has married an Egyptian. Perhaps most troubling, he enforces the political and economic policies of Egypt, bringing the desperate Egyptian poor into a new and more severe status of serfdom in exchange for bread. He's doing the Egyptian thing. But I would like to focus on how Joseph actually maintains his Jewish values in the face of an overwhelming culture, the hegemonic scope of ancient Egypt, one of the most powerful and influential in all the ancient world. For all of his concessions to becoming an Egyptian success story, there's still as they would say in Yiddish, and I'm sure he spoke Yiddish, a pintel yid, a little Jewish spark remained in him. He never denied his Jewish identity. He speaks in the spiritual language of the Hebrew God. He embraces his Israelite family. He is, in powerful ways, a countercultural presence that remains in the all-encompassing Egyptian system and way of life, which begs the question, how should we use our countercultural status, our bona fides to navigate the next 3 weeks? How can we be a contributing presence, a positively engaged for our fellow Americans while remaining true to ourselves when the main Jewish counterbalance, Hanukkah, has already passed? Well, first of all, I always think it's good to broaden the conversation. Now, I see absolutely nothing wrong with wishing others a Merry Christmas, but I think it helps others to think about the diversity of our nation by simply offering them a happy holidays. Second, I think this is a good time to remain visibly Jewish, even though we aren't kindling the lights of the miracle of Hanukkah. Okay, we're no longer passing out our latkes or sufganiyot, but a Star of David necklace or taking a Jewish book to work or to school to read is still, I think, good for the American soul to see. And don't hesitate to show your commitment to peace on earth and goodwill towards men in your daily habits. After all, you can state quite frankly and honestly, it was our message hundreds of years before Jesus came on the scene. One way we might show up at work or school or family is going to all these events without a firearm. But most importantly, at a time when there is unprecedented fear, anger, and anxiety that dominates our cultural conversation, the untimely countercultural move for us is to be hopeful, cheerful, confident. I know this seems contradictory to our very natures to show this much cheer, but I think our fellow Americans need to see other Americans who think and act based on their hopes and not on their fears. At a time of prolonged crisis in Egypt, 7 years of famine, we're only 2 years into our plague, it was not just Joseph's administrative acumen that sustained Egypt. I think he was also the great non-anxious presence, the voice of confidence, of reason, and anticipation of a better time that helped his fellow Egyptians weather their crisis. He believed things would get better, and they did. At this time, now that our holiday is over, though I know all of you are already making big plans for Tu B'Shvat, we can still be that non-anxious presence for our fellow Americans, the big self-assured voice of what? Peace on earth, goodwill towards men, as well. We can also simply say, I know it feels bad right now, but this too shall pass. We are Jews. We remember and we recover from hard times better than anyone on earth. We're more practiced at it than anyone on earth. As the Ghostbusters would say in a crisis, we have the tools, we have the talent. We are the people who can bring our fellow Americans up at a time when they're feeling particularly alienated and afraid. Let's use those countercultural gifts, our gifts and insights for the sake of all of our fellow Americans. And from Christmas to beyond, let us encourage them to see that whatever causes them fear or anxiety now will not persist forever. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. All right, it's time for our announcements. And our officer is the beloved Greg, who is our membership vice president. And he is going to share with us news about the conference.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Okay, so for the announcements this week, the last week of religious school before winter break. After this Sunday, the students will be out for 3 weeks, returning on Sunday, January 9th. The Sunday is also our Tu B'Shvat program. We hope everyone enjoys the short break. Let's see. On Friday night, December 24th, we will not be holding services at the temple. There will also not be a live stream. Instead, in a return to our annual tradition, we will convene at 6 p.m. at Regional Buffet off of 251 North Stemmons Freeway in Louisville. We'll be lighting Shabbat candles, sharing Kiddush, and feasting on Asian delights. After services and a meal, we will be heading out in various groups to enjoy a movie of your choice. Similarly, instead of convening at CKA on Friday night, December 31st, Rabbi is holding a special Shabbat service at his home, and you're invited. Start your New Year's festivities with the Shabbat Seder at the home of Rabbi and Robin. They will be celebrating for the evening, but you may leave as needed for other events like the prior Friday. There will not be any services held at the temple, and there will not be a live stream. As always, you can find specific details for these announcements and anything else you might need on the congregation's website. Ask Rabbi about our new interfaith adult education program beginning January 12th. Is this for Flower Mound?
Yeah, it's from Flower Mound to Holy Ground.
Okay, gotcha. All right, and then I guess
It's time for the
Misha Barak, right? Okay, so let's see here. Misha
I think
Barak.
it's on the back.
Is it on the back? Yeah, I haven't, yes, here it is. Okay, so Misha Barak, for the ones who bless our ancestors, also bless Harry Anthony, Joy DeBloom, Natalie Bovino, Sandy Cook, Dave Cook, Mark Davis, Michelle Griffith, Jody Hoffman, Carol Jones, Molly Colling, Deb Kaufman, Lauren Cohen, Alex Cohen, Gina LaMonica, Deb Ledden, Phyllis Lorley, Shirley Lunsford, Wynn Marks, Charles Mensky, Paul Redwood Jr., Sandy Garber Rubin, Adrian Sandler, Myra Schussler, Dale Saver, Zachary Thompson, and Happy Waterman. Is there anyone else in the congregation? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? No. Okay. So as our tradition, we will sing the Mishe Beirach. Mishe Beirach
Avotenu Mekor habracha lemotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Beirach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Thank you.
So, normally, it's me sitting around coming up with what I like to call cunning plans. Some kind of proposal for a program or an idea for the congregation, which may or may not achieve fruition. But I know that this week it was our vice president of Tikkun Olam, Melissa, who was plotting with my wife with a cunning plan. And I want to honor that cunning plan by inviting her up to open the ark with me. We're going to turn to page 82 for the Aleinu. Please rise if able.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, l'tekedu la liotze breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kimisvahot hadama, shelo sam kelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu keho hamonam, v'nachnu korim, Umishtakavim umodim Lifnei Melech Malkei Hamlakim Hakadosh Baruch Hu Shehu Notei Shemayim Veyoser Haaretz Umoshav Yikaro B'Shamayim Nimao Ushkinatu Zo Bekovei Meromim Hu Eloheinu Eino Emet Malkeinu Efet Zulato Kakatu Betorato Virata Hayom Vehashevota El Levavecha Ki Adonai Hua Elohim Bashahamayim Imao V'yaharetz Mitachat Enho Bayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad Ushemo Echad.
If you're wondering what that cunning plan is, you should talk to her. It sounds great. I don't really understand it, but it sounds awesome. But I'm sure she can explain it to you. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we do, as congregations do around the world, we take time at the end of our service to think about the people who have passed away, whether they've passed away in recent weeks or whether they passed away at this time in years past. And we begin by thinking about those individuals who've died most recently in the past week. Is there anybody here observing Shiva? If you have a loved one or someone that you care about who has died in the last week, please share the name with us. Okay. For Shloshim, we're thinking of the following individuals: Herbert Paley, the father of Dr. Charles Paley; Gordon Ellison, the grandfather of Lindsay Lev; and Jim Jackus, right? Am I saying that right? You can. Family friend of the Dawsys, all of whom died in the past month. Is there anyone else who's lost anybody in the last 4 or 5 weeks? And then for this week, we want to think of those individuals who are part of our community or connected to it, whose yahrzeits, whose anniversaries of death occur this week. Frank Cordova, Lois Friedman, Zena Ingber, Linda Neff Lapper, Tommy Ledbetter, Stanley Levy, J. Arthur Schapp, Edwin Skolnick, and Yossi Teitelbaum. Is there anyone else observing a yahrzeit? Right. As we summon the name of each of these individuals, we also summon their memory. We hope that those who knew them find that their memory of them grows sweeter with the passing years. We, on the other hand, want to show our caring and support by turning to page 85, rising together and reciting Kaddish in their honor. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael bagalal ubizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'elam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'elma v'yimru amen. Yehei shmlama Rabba mim shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mroma Huya say shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us. And let us say, amen. Please be seated. And I think our closing song is going to be Hevenu Shalom Alechem, a very cheerful tune that we will take out to the rest of America to help them cheer up at this season. Page 100 at the top of the page, Hevenu Shalom Alechem. We bring you greetings of peace.
Avenu Shalom Alechem. Avenu Shalom Alechem. Avenu Shalom Alechem. Avenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Alechem. Avenu Shalom Alechem. Avenu Shalom Alechem. Avenu Shalom Alechem. Avenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Alechem.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're going to be gathering in our next, we're going to be gathering in Onegi Hall to celebrate Kiddush and to take a little time for fellowship. So thank you all, and thank you especially to Samson, who's doing double duty tonight, running our broadcast as well as serving as our song leader. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.